God. Oh, so long. 9 months. 9 months, Phil.
We would have had a baby by now.
We did have a baby, and it's this podcast.
Oh my God. We did. All right, I'm ready.
All right, good. He's ready. I'm ready. We are getting started. It is episode 39 of the GGG Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. I am very excited to get things going. I'm excited to talk video games. I'm in a good mood today. Are you in a good mood today, Phil?
I am in a good mood despite this LA heat. And I will tell you, compared to the rest of the country, it's not that bad. But I am now a little baby, a little LA baby.
It's true. Everybody's been asking me about like, oh, how are you handling the weather down in LA? And it's like it's hot, but I've seen the weather map. Like Texas looks like hell on earth right now. Like
more so.
Yeah. Shout out to our Texans out there, all of our Texans.
Our Texas fans, they know. My mom lives 8 hours north of Los Angeles, and you would think, oh, you're going up the Pacific Northwest. It's a little cooler. No, 114 degrees this whole month so far. Ridiculous.
Oh my God.
But let's not talk about the weather. Paul, have you gotten to play any games lately?
Yes, I did. I have a confession, and it's something I've confessed several times on the show. I played Starfield.
Again?
I know. I'm sorry. I won't get into it. I'll just.
You can't keep going back to it.
I'm like an addict.
Crap.
I'm like an addict, and I love to complain about it. No, it's really. I'm just getting swept up into the shipbuilding and everything, and there's been 3 major updates since its release now, and including like the mod update, which is kind of really what I wanted to check out, which I think I might do a separate video to just complain about that and not talk your ear off about that. But it's Bethesda charging for mods, which drives me crazy. So we won't get into that. I just wanted to make a starship. I just have this fantasy of just making a starship. I just want my Millennium Falcon or my SS Normandy. That's what I want. And so that's why I'm playing it.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I still have been playing the finals, got back on some Helldivers, played some First Descendant, wanted to see what all of the fuss was about. And I believe you played a little bit of that as well, Phil. Yeah. Well,
just prior to the podcast, I was playing through like the tutorial, and I'm excited. I want to check more of it out, which is kind of a rarity for me for free to play games.
Yeah.
We're getting to a point where free to play games are pretty good, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Well, I mean, I guess they have to be. I think like this game, the First Descendant and the Finals, they're both free to play games. Obviously different genres. You're still shooting, but different genres of games. But they're both games that are like, wow, the graphics. Like this is nice looking. This is some eye candy.
For free?
Yeah.
You guys put this much work into it? That's why.
Yeah. So like I think that the gameplay is where it's drawing people in, and so it's the gameplay and the fact that it's just a very pretty game. I think like I haven't played enough of it to get bogged down by the microtransactions and all the different currencies and all the different things. But for some like good nonsensical fun, it seems like a good game. But it kind of reminded me a little bit, again, different type of game, but it kind of reminds me of Diablo 4. In that, like, everything's easy to kill and to destroy and everything until you hit the boss. But then hitting the boss it's not like you're going to die. It's just about, like, spamming all of your moves and doing that on repeat. So, did you have any other thoughts on the First Descendant?
I really liked there's a grapple hook in it, and when a game has a good grapple hook, I'm all about that.
Oh, yeah.
It has like actually pretty cool physics mechanic where you can rotate as you're like zipping towards something and like throw yourself off to the right or to the left. So if you hit like a pillar, you can get around it. And the powers seem pretty interesting. The lady who I picked, she's got like an ice power where she like runs around and you make a trail so that if enemies cross over it, they start to get frozen.
Yeah.
And again, it's more than I would expect, and kind of more than even that game Outriders a couple years ago, which I thought was a pretty fun game.
Yeah.
More than they did in terms of like creativity, because in that game it was like you do a ground pound or you send like a psychic wave at someone, but this is like, oh, I can actually use my brain with this power to do something more interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people are comparing the First Descendant to Warframe, and I totally get that comparison from how the game is built structurally with the grinding and the microtransactions, even the gameplay, the third person, Destiny-esque, it looks like Warframe, but I think it also looks a lot like Outriders.
Yeah.
And I think the defining thing for me between Outriders and this game is that Outriders was kind of, the combat kind of felt like it was built from like a Gears of War, where it's a cover shooter. It's you're snapping into cover. You can't just be standing up and taking a bunch of fire, and there was no jumping in Outriders. So the platforming was incredibly limited. Whereas in the First Descendant, you have that extra dimension of, I can jump. And I mean, certain characters, there's a,
Can jump more.
yeah,
or
you
better
can
or worse.
jump
Yeah.
more, or it's like I can run around and shoot. I'm not trying. Again, it's just easier. It's an easy game, and I'm guessing it gets harder, obviously, but it seems pretty easy. So
Yeah, I like the idea that you can sort of play offensively, and that's where just the gameplay style versus Outriders is a little bit more. You're not waiting; you're just going for it.
right. Have you been playing anything else other than the First Descendant?
I mean, I've been just playing a smattering, of course.
Multiverses.
My holy angel multiverses. Just grind a little bit. I found out that you can unlock Agent Smith ahead of time. He's the new DLC fighter. You can unlock him now if you've completed like 15 different single player missions.
It's 20, bro.
It's 20.
It's crazy. It's not.
It's
possible.
ridiculous.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
Like.
I have like leftover fighter credits to buy with. I'm like, just let me pay for them. I don't want to play your game.
Well, I would do it if it was more reasonable with the allotted time. Because like when I first re-downloaded Multiverses, I saw the Agent Smith, promotion, and it was like, if you I think it's you have to beat 20 bosses of rifts. But there's only ever like 5 rifts open at a time, and then there's the difficulty of the rifts, but the difficulty spike goes up like crazy, and it's not like the computer gets smarter. It's like, no, you do half damage, they do double damage, and that's
okay.
Oh,
I found out the thing around this is you have to get like the little gems that you can put on yourself, and that evens the playing field to a pretty good degree.
Okay. All right.
But outside of that, it's still just like, it's just so time consuming.
It is. Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to multiplayer in this game. I just want to hurt other people's feelings. I don't care about playing the computer. We're good. But I'm trying to think outside of that. I've been a little sidetracked by a bunch of other stuff. Some like real life and some other game type things, which we can talk about a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's been a slow video game week for me. I feel like I'm like the news right now. I'm like, there's nothing really sparking joy, so I don't know what I'm playing.
Well, I mean, you seem like you had fun with the First Descendant, so the little dopamine drip right there, a little bit.
Yeah, I'll come back to that.
I like your shirt, if that helps.
Thank you. Not even a Batman main. I'm not even a Batman main. What came out this week? Because again, I feel like we're in that summer drought where there's the Steam sale, there's the Epic sale, there's the PlayStation Store sale, but not really that many games are dropping.
Yeah, so the only game of note that I found that came out this week is a game called Once Human that actually came out, I think it's like 2 to 3 hours before we started recording this week's episode. And so Once Human is a multiplayer open world survival game, and it's based in kind of modern day. So all the technology and the guns and the buildings, they're all like modern. Like, oh, what does a regular house look like? That's something you can build. So the aesthetic is very much today, but the twist on it is it's got a little bit of remnant sprinkled in, where there's this spooky spirit, alien, demon things that are around the world, and so that's the hook, I guess, in here. But it is a free to play multiplayer open world survival game. You can download it on Steam right now. The reviews are all over the place because it just came out. So I know that some initial problems with Once Human are that right now you can only have one character per account. So you can't like have, I'm going to make this character in this server and that's this character in another server. And it's just, no, you have one character, you can be in one server. And so it's very, locked in for what you can do. And a lot of people are complaining about that. It's a free to play game. It's early access. I don't have high expectations. But people are playing it right now. People have been streaming it the last couple hours. So I'm definitely curious about it. I've added it to my library because it's free. Might pick it up.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I have done the same thing. I just read I was reading some of the reviews now to kind of figure out what people are saying about it.
Mm-hmm.
The one positive review today says that the server, or not switch servers thing, is a known bug, and that it's going to be fixed allegedly. So that is a pretty interesting,
good
development. I know that Steam reviews tend to be not the least reactive things on the internet. Sometimes they kind of go aggro pretty quick,
Yeah.
So I think if there's anything that concerns me about this game, it is, again, a free-to-play game,
Right.
which means how are they monetizing it? What are they trying to do to get nickels and dimes out of me? And are they being fair about it, or are they being generous about it, or are they being, so many different ways it could go. So excited to see how this one turns out. Again, since it's free, kind of an easy, well, yeah, why not download and try it out type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love survival games. I don't like being forced into PvP. So I don't know if I can play on a private server. I don't know if that's possible. But yeah, so it's definitely interesting. It's good to get a game like this out here in the summer drought. And speaking of the summer drought, kind of moving into the news here. So we were talking about the First Descendant. And I have to, commend the release timing on this. Like if this game was ever going to be successful, they released it at the right time, where there's just nothing else going on. It's summer vacation, which means, kids are out of school, and what do kids play? Free to play games. And so the First Descendant has hit huge numbers, especially on Twitch. It almost rivaled Fortnite over the last couple of days. On Twitch, I believe Fortnite usually sits around 55 to 60,000 streamers. And First Descendant, I think, got all the way up to 48, 49, somewhere around there. And so I think it petered back off into the 20,000s somewhere. But that is crazy that you pulled that much focus. And that just goes to show you that even though the game is bogged down by all these microtransactions, the gameplay is fun and it's pretty. And of course, anime girls with big butts, they're going to sell. Yeah. So
free anime girls with big butts. Why are we even recording the podcast? Let's just be playing First Descendant.
Yes. So are you at all surprised that the numbers jumped up so quick for this game?
Yeah, and I guess one of the things that's interesting to me is that it is a free-to-play game. And I know there's lots of people who don't have PlayStation 5s or computers that can run it.
Right.
But I do think that is interesting, that there is enough interest that people are I don't really want to play it, but I do want to watch it. I'm curious about what this is. And I got to say, based on the trailers that we'd seen, prior to release, this game does look very interesting and very like fun and just bombastic. I think a lot of people are probably a little bit wary of it because it's free to play, and maybe just checking it on stream from someone they trust makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a reflection of how good their advertisement was and how good the game looks. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
not surprised.
Not
Happy.
surprised. Yeah. We will see.
Uh, Speaking of another thing I'm not surprised about, the live action Horizon Zero Dawn series, I believe that was going to be on Amazon.
Netflix.
It's Netflix, is no longer moving forward.
I can breathe. I can breathe
Yeah.
again. Just wake
Due
me
to
up when they wake me up when they cancel God of War. So
fair enough. Wake me up when September ends. So this is based on some reporting by Rolling Stone saying that the show is not moving forward. How do you feel about this, Paul? What is your thoughts? I mean, obviously you're relieved. I'm relieved.
yeah, I'm so relieved. I get that, Hollywood is finally realizing, oh, there are some good stories in video games, and we can use these to make TV shows like The Last of Us, like Fallout. I think that those were very good adaptations, but there are a lot of games that do not like just being like, oh, this was a successful video game, this will be a successful TV show is a fat no from me. Like there
It's
are
not equal.
yeah, and like especially Horizon, like I really love the Horizon games. Like I understand that they are flawed to a degree, but I really like them personally. And there's too much stuff that I could see like Netflix's PR department that they don't want to address. Like, why is there a white redheaded woman in Native American attire? They're going to get hit with that backlash, even though in the universe, in the story,
It makes sense.
It
Yeah.
makes sense because it's like every person on Earth has been reduced to a tribal, state of living. And so it's not about ethnicity or anything like that. It's that everyone's wearing freaking animal skins, and so like
And by animal skins, you mean robot parts.
yeah, and
And
actual
animal
animal skins.
Yeah.
But like, and so I'm just really relieved. I don't think that Horizon is a good video game to be turned into a TV show or a movie. I think it needs to be experienced as a video game. And I think there are other games, as I mentioned, God of War, that I do not want to see an adaptation for because it is just going to degrade the quality. I think the games that make the best leap to other forms of media are heavy story games. And I understand, like, Horizon's got a big story, God of War's got a big story, Ghost of Tsushima's got a big story. But, like, when you think about, like, The Last of Us, it's like how many cutscenes are in The Last of Us or Fallout? What's the majority of the Fallout gameplay? It's talking to people. People don't want to say that because they want to be like, oh no, it's fighting all the monsters and exploring the wasteland. But most of the gameplay is talking to NPCs, and so that's something for a TV show that works perfectly because. When you strip everything back out of a TV show, what is a TV show? It's two people in a room talking about something.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
I think I agree with you. I think Horizon, like the way the story pans out and the way that you make discoveries in that game about like what's happening and what is going on, it's drip fed over such a long period of time that it really feels like you're discovering a mystery.
Right.
That you're finding out something larger than life. The fights that you're doing, like sure they can be big and epic, but a lot of it is like survival stuff. Like it is all built into part of the story. You are hunting and killing these things so that Ayla can make a new shirt so she can like do what she needs to do. It's all of that isn't really going to transfer that well to a TV show or a movie. It's just not enough time. Even like a season of a television show is maybe 10 hours, and the story of Horizon plays out between 1 and 2 probably over 60 hours.
Yeah, I mean, doing everything in those games, I think I clocked out at about 80. 80
Yeah.
hours. And then they both have big DLCs. So
Big juicy DLCs.
yeah, I mean, this Burning Shores was not great, but it did have one of the best final boss battles, I think, of the modern generation. Just as far as like the scale of the boss battle, like it made, like I love Monster Hunter, but it made Monster Hunter be like,
Yeah.
I don't care about your big boss. I got a bigger one. Like,
Look at this thing.
look at this thing.
Look at this.
It was
I gotta kill a planet
like,
now.
do you guys remember we used to make Killzone? I don't know if you remember. So,
I mean, like, okay, God of War, I could see a little bit more of an argument for, just
yeah,
because a lot of the good moments in that are like very beautiful moments between father and son, and but then it would be like most of the show would be three characters.
I mean, and that's not necessarily bad, but you have to think about, you have to think about the production costs of these TV shows. And so if there's a God of War show that comes out, it's going to be filmed in what Disney did like The Mandalorian in, where it's like
The volume.
the 360 room with screens and everything like that. And that's not bad necessarily. I get it, but like Horizon would need the budget that Amazon's Lord of the Rings has.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, no other show
gonna get it.
No other show has that budget. And even though it has that budget, it's still not that good. So it's gonna crap on it, but it's not, like you can't.
It's not gonna win a Grammy. That's impossible. But no, I mean, I think like when you break down these games, like God of War, I could see having some really, really great like fight scenes and being one of those shows that's like, hey, you come for the fights. Like what was that? The Badlands, where it was like a show that was just about showing off really cool like stage combat.
Right.
I again, like I could get behind that a little bit more, but Horizon was just a solid no for me. As soon as I heard it, I was like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, I was, okay, we can give Sadie Sink work, great, but why otherwise?
What do you think? I don't think we're quite here yet, but like, what if with video games they just made a movie, but just in computer graphics? Like, why do you think they want to do this live action? Obviously, it's probably cheaper to do live action, and so like, do you think it's just like a cost thing that they don't want to just be like, hey, we can literally just take Kratos's model, upscale
And
it,
just use it, yeah.
yeah, and we can actually use the actor who plays Kratos instead of trying to like some of the stuff on Twitter is ridiculous. They're like, oh, The Rock should play Kratos. If The Rock plays Kratos, I'm
going on a hunger strike.
Oh my god, I'm going on an everything strike. Like,
yeah, I think part of it is like live action lends like legitimacy. And it's like, oh, your mom might watch something in live action, but she ain't gonna watch some cartoons.
right? Okay.
I think that's pretty much all it is.
Yeah, I think I'm in that headspace because I saw like Beowulf on sale recently. Did you ever see that movie? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that movie came out ages ago now. I think like maybe 15 years, something like that. And it's like that was completely computer animated, and so it's like that was 15 years old. So if they could do it back then,
if you did something like Avatar, that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we fired an arrow, and we hit the giant Netflix beast right in its cancellation canister.
Perfect.
And now Horizon Zero Dawn is dead.
Excellent. All right. Well,
but we still got the Lego game coming out, so don't worry.
The Lego game is still. I will. You know what? If if the Lego game makes it so I don't have to have a Horizon TV show, that is okay.
We're good.
I can live with that. All right. Time for a tiny little cutesy news story. Super quick. So Baldur's Gate. I should say Stardew Valley is getting a Baldur's Gate 3 themed mod. So if you were like, I love Asterion so much that I need to romance him in multiple RPGs, this is how you do that. And so,
Thank God.
yeah, is this what you were looking for, Phil?
Um, yeah, listen, I can't ever get enough of my brunette mean girlfriends who sometimes have white hair. This is if I can have Shadowheart live with me, or honestly, I feel like if you're starting a farm with someone, it's got to be black. But
Oh yeah,
it's she would be out there doing stuff.
yeah, she'd be helping.
Yeah, Shadowheart is just gonna kill the chickens and use them for some sort of ritual, which is cool. But I love this. I mean, like, crazy mod, crazy the things that people do to this game,
Yeah,
and crazy how much love that Baldur's Gate 3 has that people are just putting it into other games. But I'm a big fan of it.
yeah. The mod should be, I believe it's available for free, but the person who's designing the mod, they also have a Patreon. So if you want to head over and support them in creating the mod, I think for right now, the only two characters that are in the mod are Asterion and Haslin, which I know are two of the ladies' favorites. So so head on over. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. But just wanted to throw that in because it was a cute little story.
Yeah, very happy with that.
Man. All right. Something a little bit more substantial. So Manor Lords, which is a game we talked about last month quite a bit. I tried out Manor Lords on Game Pass. It's also, I think, it's slightly on sale during the Steam summer sale. And it's had, a lot of people are like, it's pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. It's early access. There were some early access problems. But they recently... their publisher took to the interwebs to push back against how every game has to have this financial live service model that they're gunning for. And that they just wanted to put out a game that they thought was good without having to build a game from the ground up while incorporating all these microtransactions and this seasonal content and all of these, future updates. And so I thought it was actually really refreshing to hear this from a publisher, albeit a relatively small publisher, but it was refreshing to hear, like, yeah, we just want to make the best version of this game possible instead of bogging it down with all this crap. And, like, I think we do get some positives out of live service games, but it's like, for me, like, I'm really excited for Frostpunk 2 that's coming out later this year. And I got delayed, god darn it. But like, I'm really excited for it, but I don't, if there's any live service microtransaction crap in Frostpunk 2, I'm going to be pissed because I just want to be able to buy the game and play the game and do it like that. So I'm glad that there are publishers out there with this mindset. And I think it speaks some volumes that it's a publisher saying this and not just the company itself, who are making the game. Because usually the creators of the game, they don't want to incorporate microtransactions and stuff like that. It's the publisher that forces them because they need to keep the money coming in. So
yeah, I'm hard with them on this one. I don't think a game needs to come out and be like, a Suicide Squad famously had a several season laid out plan, and whoops, the game sucked. No one likes it. Everyone hates it. Oh no, and now they're not going to finish it. Additionally, like, that's just a lot of the times it's just like, here's a battle pass, here's it, here's that. Sometimes it's okay, and this little company Nintendo does this from time to time, where they just put out a game and they're like, here you go, it's done, and then you play it and you have a joyful experience. Granted, I know Manor Lords is in early access, so there is more of it coming, but I'm kind of like with them on the defense here. Like, if people are upset that the game only has that much, A, it's in early access, and B, I guess you didn't like it. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's refreshing to hear. Absolutely. And I think this actually really kind of helps us segue into our next news topic very much, because Overwatch is getting an exciting new DLC. I believe it came out today, actually, and that is Overwatch is doing a Transformers DLC, and you can buy the full Transformers pack. It comes with 4 different skins, including, the favorites: Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee. So that's really cool. And they actually, the skin, so their skin, I think Bumblebee is like on, oh God, what's the gunner guy, the robot?
Oh, it's Bastion.
Bastion. And then it's Reinhardt is, Optimus Prime and stuff like that. And so the skins look really cool. They also put out this really well animated trailer for it. And so if you want to check that out, I'll try to post it on our Golden Glaze Gaming channel. But this really awesome animated trailer for it. And I was pretty excited about this. And so I decided this morning that I was going to open up Battle.net, and I wanted to see how much this Transformers skin pack, because that's what it is. It's a skin pack. I wanted to see how much it costs. And
can I just interject here and say that every word that you are saying leading up to this is filling me with dread and sadness.
Yeah, well,
hit me with that big hammer.
So you have to. I don't know if everyone knows this, but if you don't play Overwatch, you have to get their in-game currency, their Microsoft points, essentially. And so the Transformers skin bundle is 5,900 credits. Mm-hmm. And just as a point of reference, 5,000 credits is $50. So if you've never bought credits in Overwatch before,
I think I'm done with video games. I think I'm done. That's so dumb. I almost cursed on our show. That is.
Yeah. So if you've never bought, so there are a couple like credit packs you can buy where it's like 5,000 plus some bonus coins, kind of like what 2K does and everything like that. But if you've already done that, you can't get the bonus coins. You have to spend $60 in order to get this skin bundle for Overwatch 2.
Skin bundle is a disgusting name, and I want to use it for something. But that's outrageous. And again, this is like, this is what the big companies make you think about free-to-play games. This is why the rest of us have so much fear anytime a game's like, hey, we're free-to-play. We're like, are you going to charge us $60 for skins that affect the gameplay exactly 0%?
Yeah, well, their argument will be, oh, well, it doesn't affect the gameplay, so what does it matter? And I this is just crazy to me. That almost $60 for skins. And look, I get again, Transformers, they're a known quantity. They've been known to do licensing deals. Kind of similar with Mortal Kombat. It's like, I get that Omni-Man is going to cost this much for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, but that's a new thing. That's a new thing for the game.
Yeah.
He plays different. He's got moves,
Well, yeah, that's also true. That is also true. But yeah, the fact that it's just skins. There's nothing else about it that does anything. So I think this is a total. I hate this. I hate this so much. Because this is a skin bundle that I would have considered buying if it was like $20, where it was like each character is $5 or each character is $6. If you get all 4, it's $20, something like that. But it's just, I understand that costs are going up, inflation's going up, and everything like that. But it's like when you're selling digital products, you're not running out of supply. What do you?
Yeah, you're also setting the market. You could easily make that hey, everybody get this, and then we're gonna get a lot more people to play Overwatch if this is a $15 bundle.
Yeah,
people turn on and play it for a little while. I'm like, oh, this is fun, and this is something I actually want to do now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is something that I want to bring back in for our main topic in a bit, because I think it has a lot to do with it. But I'm so far with the Microsoft takeover of Blizzard, I just have not really resonated with any of their decisions to make like Overwatch, or I think Diablo did take some steps in the right direction, so I'll give them a little applause for that. Not enough to drag me back in, but they're at least trying with Diablo. But Overwatch, man, and there are people who are going to buy this, that are going to pay $50-$60 for this pack. So,
yeah. Well, I guess on another side of this same sort of topic, putting big fighting robots in video games, there is another game, Gundam Breaker, that is putting Pac-Man in its big fighting robots game, which is just a weird crossover. It's like a 3D battle arena game where you're fighting other robots, you're dashing around. Now you just do it inside of a Pac-Man level, which is plenty strange. But similarly, I believe Hasbro are the people who make Transformers. They own Wizards of the Coast, who does Magic the Gathering, and they released an Assassin's Creed set. And that's a little better in terms of like how to do it as a company, because they've just released all these cards. But they made like extra expensive booster packs that only give you 7 it's 7 cards for like $7, which is normally you get like 15.
Sure.
But it's because they're Assassin's Creed, and because they're and it just seems like it's more of a win, but also like, why are you giving me less? It's cardboard. It's like a digital product. You are establishing the scarcity and the price of this.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that Magic has been
doing.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time, and like, not to defend them, because they love money too, but like at the very least, you're getting a physical thing.
True, you're getting something that can mature in value.
Yeah, and they have manufacturing costs. They may have they may have great margins on the manufacturing. But it's essentially what all these, companies digitally are doing is they're just paying for, they're paying to keep the servers up, you know? And then they send you some data, and it's got a little key in it, and it says that you own this thing that really they could take away at any moment. Destiny.
By just locking your account. Okay.
Although, I do want to, we'll talk about Destiny a little bit later. They've been doing some good things. So, but let's move on. Let's push forward. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
I'm angry. I almost quit video games just now.
Oh yeah, it was close. I saw you right there on the edge. So, all right. But next up, Disney. There's going to be a Disney Pixel RPG, and its name is Disney Pixel RPG.
It's direct. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's straightforward. They're not trying to mislead you in any way. But this is a free-to-play app, phone game that you can download, and it is exactly what it says it is. Again, there's going to be microtransactions in there. It's a free-to-play game. Hopefully, they're not charging $50 for Transformer skins, but who knows? Anything's possible. So,
I've looked at it, and it's a very it's very pixel art, sort of like those fuzzy, soft aesthetics of like your sort of modern pixel art game, like Bravely Default. Mm-hmm. It looks fun. I'm guessing the mechanic, and this is just from looking at like there's different versions of Mickey, there's different Disney characters, and you're fighting against. It definitely looks like it's inspired by Kingdom Hearts. Like,
yes,
you have a little avatar that is very Sora-esque, and you're fighting these things that kind of look like the Heartless. But you're just using different versions of Mickey or Winnie the Pooh or Simba, I assume, to fight these things. And honestly, if their monetization model isn't bad, if you can like earn these things in game, it's a fun distraction. It's a fun little phone game.
Yeah, absolutely. And not a lot to complain about here. And I think honestly, with Disney's all of their multiverse stuff, they seem to be leaning on what Kingdom Hearts did, obviously, because it's the first successful multiverse game that they did. So yeah, it's fun. It's cool. I believe you can download it right now. I'm gonna make sure that it's actually out. I'm sorry. It comes out September 9th. I want to say.
Okay.
So
I will say Disney stresses me out, like just any of their products, after having been to their parks and like sort of seeing Disney Plus. I'm like, you guys gotta figure it out again, because you kind of lost it.
I thought you were a pretty big Disney fan there, Phil.
I I like Disney. I like a lot of Disney projects. I like Marvel. I love
Mm-hmm.
a lot of their stuff. Um, but I am a little confused as to like a lot of their current models. Like the park, like the gamification of the park is beautiful. It's a lot of like video game developers for open world look at Disneyland to show you like how to do navigation because you can always see like a mountain, a point of interest in the distance to go towards, and that's something that like I think the original Legend of Zelda on the N64 did, um, the Major or Ocarina of Time did,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, with all that like great genius design, it feels like the decisions lately have just been like trying to get as much money as possible with as little input and as little like customer satisfaction as possible. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's gone like that. I granted I love a lot of the Disney Plus stuff, but it also does feel like this is this necessary? Is this
Are you,
necessary viewing?
are you watching Acolyte right
I
now?
am, and I love it, but I don't know. I think we're in this era, and I think Disney has not responded well to it, to like adapted to what to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Disney's very guilty of it, but they're not the only one who's guilty of it. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of companies. Warner Brothers is very guilty of this as well, where they have just been trying to be like, we need to pump out content with known quantities at all costs, and we need to push our streaming service. That's like, honestly, I think a lot of the mediocre shows that have come out on Disney Plus, it's like, well, it's because they're squeezing all the juice out of this orange, and there's not much left in it, or
Yeah.
they're just trying to put stuff out quickly because they don't really own a lot of things that aren't either kid based, Marvel, or Star Wars. Marvel and Star Wars is the thing that's keeping them alive, and so they keep like going back to that and trying to do more with it. But it's also got to be within the budget of a TV show. We're not going to give it the full movie resources, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. Anyway, but
I feel like that's the weird situation they're in, and they need to go back to like late 2000s, late aughts Disney, where they were just like hitting them out of the park, investing way more, and getting back like a fair amount. I just feel like it's a lot of their leadership is just focused on taking what they can and giving nothing back.
yeah,
Little Pirates of the Caribbean for you.
okay. Yeah, Disney movie.
Yes.
All right, moving right along. So, Destiny 2: The Final Shape came out a little while ago now, but it has continued to get updates, and it has actually been listening to player feedback, particularly with they were going to do this thing for the Final Shape where they were going to release story beats little by little as the community moves forward and everything. And everybody kind of hated that because it'd be like, hey, here's this mission. And then you'd play the mission, and then it'd be like, that was it. Come back next week for another mission. And I think that gamers, that's pretty aggravating as a
Yeah.
gamer.
Oh, yeah.
uh, because that's really not how the media works. It's the video, it's you just keep playing for as long as you want to keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the player base was a little upset by that. And to Bungie's credit, they actually listened to them. They're like, all right, we're going to put out all of the planned story missions out at once. And then what we're going to do to keep the season alive and to keep things a little bit festive is we're just going to have different activities that will pop up. And I think that's a much better approach. And for all of the really rave reviews that have been coming out about the Final Shape, everyone loves the Final Shape. So like this is like one of the best Destiny DLCs. If you were ever going to buy one, I guess this is the one to buy. So, which
Are you tempted to get back into Destiny, the Final Shape?
I'm tempted, but I have had a whole emotional journey with the Destiny franchise from Destiny 1 into Destiny 2, and so I don't know if I can get back into it. The thing is that the gameplay is good. The gameplay has always been good. I've never had a problem with the gameplay. The graphics, the visuals are pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of other games and live servicey games that are, pulling my attention, pulling my focus. And so I think if I had a group of people who were playing Destiny 2, I could get back into it for the sake of the group mentality. But independently, I don't know that I would re-download the game. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, it's a hard sell for me as well. I'm very tempted by the final shape because I do kind of want to see the story conclusion, all this stuff, and I remember so many good times I had playing Destiny, specifically Destiny 2. The Fallen King was like this huge DLC that
isn't
Destiny really
the Taken King?
Taken King, and that was
Yeah.
in Destiny 1 or 2.
Oh man, I don't even remember. They're the same game to me. Like they just
They are,
continue.
yeah.
Like
I think was their intention. But like that, Destiny became this game about like kind of exploration and finding secrets, and like there was a lot of mystery and allure to it, and really top-notch gunplay on top of that as well. But I think, just their strength became their own demise, where it was like this long, ongoing game, and you would get really attached to these guns that you worked hours and hours to get, and these armor pieces that you worked hours and hours to get, only for them to be absolutely nerfed when some next set came out. And it just became kind of like demoralizing to like, oh, everything that I've climbed up to is just going to get knocked down by the next thing. And if I had joined now, I'd be in the same place as all of these hundreds of hours of work have gotten me to. So
it's true. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't. I'm glad the game is in a good spot. I'm excited to see what Bungie does next. But it could just be more Destiny. So
It could be.
So.
I mean, Marathon's in the works for sure, right?
What? Yes.
Yeah. They released a trailer a couple of years ago. They're like, "Don't worry, we're doing Marathon again, but it's different this time." I think it's like a survival shooter multiplayer game.
I'm not really familiar off the top of my head. I think I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'll
But
send you a trailer later. It's interesting.
all right. Well, maybe we'll talk about that on the next pod.
Yeah.
But all right, pressing forward. Last thing before we get into our main topic this week. So Concord is the Sony game that was announced back in May during one of Sony's State of Plays. We talked about it a little bit, I think 2 episodes ago, and essentially it's a Overwatch type game. It is a character team-based competitive shooter. And I think like last time we talked about it, we actually discovered that many people who had worked on Destiny, particularly Destiny 2 in their PvP, have been pulled over to work on Concord because now they're all under the Sony umbrella. And so there's a lot of Destiny PvP influence in Concord. And to go along with that, they have announced their beta plans. So this weekend, there will be a closed beta for people who have pre-ordered the game, which is pretty exciting. And the weekend after this weekend, which I think is July 16th through 18th, is the public beta. And that beta should be open up to everyone. It'll be on PlayStation as well as PC. I think you'll play it through Steam.
Did you say next weekend?
So next weekend is the public.
That's the 20th through the 21st or 22nd.
Oh my god! Thank you. No, it's great. Maybe it's like the 19th. Yeah, the 19th through the 21st, 22nd.
That'll do it.
Something like that.
Makes sense.
So this weekend, I believe it's the 12th through the 14th. So it's Friday through the end of the day on Sunday. And I have some beta codes for Concord for the Steam version on PC. So I'm going to be posting about this a little bit later. But if you would like a Concord beta code, please comment on our YouTube video, YouTube version of the podcast. So if you're already watching on YouTube, perfect. Comment down there for a chance to win a beta code, and I'll probably be sending those out on Friday morning, or maybe Thursday. We'll see. We'll see what the comment says. Persuade me.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely interested in playing this game. I hope, like, I really loved Destiny PvP, but similarly to what we were just talking about, I think that a lot of the PvP kind of feels a little imbalanced because it is a looter shooter, and so you're going to have more higher power weapons that are going to be able to kick my butt if I'm not committing the 45 hours a week to this game that you are. And and so like this is a team-based shooter. It's Destiny like, but there's no, everything's been balanced. Everything's been tweaked, so you don't have
pre-balanced. There's not an exotic weapon that turns you into purple mist.
Yes.
Like it's
exactly.
I do like that. I feel like that was like Destiny, to its credit, the PvP could still be fun.
Yes.
But you could occasionally just play against people who would absolutely wreck you because they had, like you said, 40 hours a week to dive into the game. So something with that level of like skill from a technical and mechanical point of view, with the overlay of like balance adjustments, I'm ready.
Yeah. So very excited. Phil and I might be playing this weekend. I'll definitely be streaming the beta. So that should be pretty fun. And we'll see if it's any good. Fingers crossed that it's good. It's also worth noting that this game is a $40 game. It is not a free-to-play game. So I'm very curious what they're going to do with their pricing and microtransactions and that kind of a thing. So I would hope that since you are paying some money up front, that the game is not bogged down by microtransactions. So fingers crossed for that.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. It's crazy when you said this game is not free to play. It's just bizarre the amount of free to play games that we've talked about, different stories this week, and how that is kind of like taking over the industry. Yeah, scary.
First one's
free. Yeah.
Exactly.
For those audio listeners, I'm slapping my arm where I think a heroine would go.
A heroine. Yes.
A heroine.
A female hero, I believe.
One heroine, please.
Okay, so let's talk about our main topic this week, and that is that Xbox Play Anywhere has officially launched. And this is a weird launch because it's kind of already existed, but particularly the way that it's releasing this week, or today more specifically, is that some smart TVs and particularly Amazon Fire Sticks now have access to stream Xbox Series X games directly to them without anything else required other than like a controller, something, like that.
Not bad.
Yeah, exactly. And so most wireless Xbox controllers should be able to connect to your TV with Bluetooth. And some of your TVs may have like a USB port you can plug the controller into as well. So I think this is like a silently kind of a huge story. Like for me, I haven't bought an Xbox. I haven't bought the last 2 generations of Xboxes because I could always play Xbox games on my computer because they gave me that. And so it so it de-incentivized me there, and this further de-incentivizes me from buying an Xbox. And so I'm curious, like, what your opinion, do you think this is the way of the future? Do you think that all gaming will be just like streamed to you as opposed to you owning a machine and playing?
A big old cloud.
Yeah.
I think that this is a bold gambit for the future of video games. And I applaud Xbox for Play Anywhere because it's what I want from everybody. Is that like, hey, I bought this game. Can I play it on my PlayStation? Can I play it on my computer? Can I like go back and forth?
Yeah.
Granted, that's not exactly what that is, but it is the fact that you could buy into Game Pass now on your Fire Stick, and provided that your internet is good enough, just be able to. Actually, no, because you wouldn't download the games. I think it's like a streamed thing.
Yeah. It's all streamed. There's no downloading. And so for me, honestly, just hearing that, it's immediately that makes Xbox Game Pass more attractive.
Yeah.
Because now I don't have to worry about, do I have to clear space to download this game, or I have to download this game. It's 90 gigabytes because that's what games are nowadays. It's going to take several hours. Now if I'm browsing Game Pass, I can just click on a game, and there is some loading that needs to happen, but relatively I can just jump into that game immediately. And for me, I'm more likely to try more games if I can get access to them faster.
Absolutely.
So I think I think this could be really big.
I agree. I think there's also something to like it makes gaming as an adult a little easier because I find myself getting fed up with the amount of knickknacks, doodads, and bibble bobs that I have floating around my house. And if I could
Right.
like just have a controller and like, oh, this is how I interface with video games. I just pick up this controller and boom. Um, that is a kind of a game changer in terms of
Ah.
they kind of a game changer in terms of like accessibility, and you don't need to have this other thing plugged in. You don't need to hide away what your Xbox or your PlayStation is somewhere in your entertainment tray. You don't need to get up for discs. It's just like pure entertainment happening for you.
Right.
Um, so while I think that internet for most of the country is not there yet, I have gigabyte internet, and I don't think this would work with mine, just
I'm
because of
I,
like
th-
how
I think it would. Like from what I've seen, again, it's only been people like reviewing it early this morning,
Mhm.
but people are saying like they've been reviewing the service and they've been giving it like everything above like an 8 out of 10.
Hmm.
So the main issues that I've been seeing is like if you're playing an online game, like this is not something you want to play COD on.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have the latency there, or if you're playing like Mortal Kombat online, like that's not something that you're gonna it's not gonna be optimal.
Yeah.
But if you're playing a single player game, it works really well. Like, is it going to be in 4K? No, it's not going to be in 4K, but it'll be in regular HD and it'll run. So,
I'm Hey, I mean like another way for me to play Stardew Valley, and also like if I'm playing Stardew Valley on that and then I can load up that save on my phone and like just constantly sort of like work at something or like load up that save on my computer,
yeah.
that is a pretty awesome thing that I think that this is made for like a sort of more not I wouldn't say casual, but just like a more entertainment based game rather than a competitive game would be absolutely murderous in terms of like in a good way on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think other companies are going to, because I like Sony does a version of this.
Mm.
It's not their primary like method, but like if you own like PlayStation Premium, if you're a PlayStation Premium member, you can stream all of their like all the PS3 library. They primarily use it for
Yeah.
like classics, but I do know like you can, if you're a PlayStation Premium member, you can like stream PlayStation Plus games and like all of these other games, so you don't have to download them. Do you see that like? Do you see? I don't think Nintendo would ever do this. Do you think they would do something like this?
I mean, I think there's a legit possibility that a Switch device coming out, like whatever a new version of the Switch 2 Lite is, could be like a streaming only device. And they're just like, we made the internet real good on it. And PlayStation Portal kind of already is this.
Yeah,
But from you're just locally doing the computing on your PlayStation. I do think, as Sony does, they are doing what Microsoft is, like Microsoft is actually leading the pack here, which is weird, and Sony is doing as little as they possibly can to be like, we're also doing it by giving us their old games.
yeah. I mean, Sony's with all the PlayStation 5 Pro rumors. I
Mm,
feel like they're already looking ahead to the next box,
yeah,
and so yeah, I don't. I mean, obviously, again, like business wise for Microsoft. Okay, actually, this is a good thing to bring up for us to talk about. So, like during just this episode alone, we have talked about a lot about microtransactions, free to play
mm,
games, all of this crap, and I do think that initially this is great for consumers.
mm,
In the long run, it might be bad for the consumers because
mm,
when you're no longer pushing hardware, it means that you're not getting that influx of money up front. And so you're going to a subscription service. And I think that there are going to be games that come out for Game Pass specifically that are like, hey, this is a game for Game Pass that you get with Game Pass, so it's free.
yeah.
But then we're building in all of these freaking microtransactions because we're trying to get our money back on the back end. And
Well,
so,
that's like iPhone games. You're
yeah,
sort of locked in by like, oh, you have an iPhone. then you can play the game. And since you're in that closed market space, they're like, oh yeah, there's not really that much. I mean, there's competition, but hey, you're already here. You're already on the machine.
Right.
Um, I think it probably will turn into that because capitalism. But I do think that I think that hopefully what Microsoft is doing here is carving out their own niche, which is, hey, come check out these cool games, bro. Like just hang out, play it for a little while, and then dip. Where PlayStation is more like your like HBO or going to the movies in terms of like there's some quality content and you're in there playing Spider-Man 3, you're in there playing the next God of War, and it's like this is a spectacle, this is a summer blockbuster.
Right.
And then Nintendo is this is games for kids and weird weeps. Which I'm one of. I'm gonna play that new Legend of Zelda game with the tables. I'm gonna play every Pokemon game. You got me.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, if Microsoft can craft this being their niche of just being like the Netflix of video games and like, hey, everybody come here and hang out, and then, if you want to have a more like, it's not just for gamers, and it is just turning kind of everyone into gamers. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. So like it's definitely you're gonna have more access to a bigger audience, and so I see the business thought here with it, even though like my old brain is like why would you not push your hardware, but like yeah, I guess if you can just have a giant server farm with a bunch of Xboxes, like you can do that too. So yeah. So I'm curious to see how this pans out, and I'm curious to see like will this have an effect on the market before the end of this year. So
I think we have to give it like probably a year and a half, like next holiday season.
yeah,
Where this is going to be like bundled strongly, and like if it survives until then, I think it becomes a new normal for Xbox, and they're like, hey, we're not making consoles anymore. We're just making controllers, and we're making like controllers to match your house, and like this one automatically connects to a Fire Stick.
do you think like this could raise Game Pass's price, or could it be like if you're using Xbox on Fire Stick or a smart TV or some other random device, like is there a separate subscription that isn't Game Pass?
A promo would be great, but I think like if you have a Fire Stick with Amazon, they have some sort of deal where it's a little bit less.
Right.
But I think ultimately, it's just going to turn into more expensive Game Pass, because Game Pass actually just went up in Canada, I believe today or yesterday, by $2, Canadian dollars, which I guess are Maple Leaves or something.
17. Just bottles of syrup. That's all it is.
Yeah, but it now costs 3 Mounties hats. You gotta go steal 3 hats.
Man.
But yeah, I think this will just result in it going up in price, which is still kind of a steal for the amount of games you're getting. I'm paying $10 on the computer, and I feel very happy with it. I could probably go up to spend like $15 a month for what I'm getting at a Game Pass.
Yeah, again, like for me, this makes Game Pass a lot more attractive. Not worry about the hard drive space, being able to just be like, oh, let me try this for 10 minutes. Not for me. I'm going to move on to the next one. That's always the big hiccup. Like, hard disk space is a huge problem right now. And like, I had a friend earlier today who was like, hey, do you want to get back on Baldur's Gate 3? And I was like, no. I don't because
I already did my time.
No, it's like it's a great game, but 160 gigabytes. I can't do it. I can't justify 160 gigabytes on my hard disk for a game I might play every now and then because you want to do the multiplayer playthrough. Like,
yeah, true.
So yeah. All right, well, we got to wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for episode 39 of the GGG Podcast. It's been a great episode. Even though there wasn't a lot of news, we found a lot of great things to talk about. Remember to hit us up in the comments if you want a Steam key beta code for this weekend for Concord, the team-based multiplayer shooter. Hit us up in those comments, and also please like and subscribe, help us out. And if you're listening to the audio only version on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, do the same over there, help us out that way, and we will be back next week. Thank you for joining me this week as always, Phil.
Yeah, hey, of course, my pleasure. Can I suggest an episode title? Free to play future.
Free to play future.
Future free to play question mark.
Okay.
Sad emoji.
All right, we'll continue to brainstorm.
Eggplant emoji.
No, that's where I'm going to
Water emoji.